All right, so we're diving deep today into something pretty interesting.
No.
The power of zero in Bujinkan.
Okay.
And I've got to say, I've been looking over some of the stuff you sent me.
Yeah.
Articles and notes and things.
Right.
It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it is.
It's a really compelling idea.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this idea of emptying yourself to achieve adaptability and effortless action, it's almost like a mental reset button.
Totally.
You know, not just in martial arts, but in life as well.
Yeah, I think one of the really key things is that, this whole idea of being zero, it's not about becoming nothing.
Right.
It's about this state of pure potential.
Okay.
Like a blank canvas.
I like that.
Ready for anything.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things the source talked about was how Soke Hatsumi, the grandmaster of Bujinkan, describes being zero as achieving this state of mu, or emptiness.
Now, I know you've been practicing Bujinkan for a while now.
I have for a while, yeah.
So you've probably encountered this idea before.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What's your take on this whole idea of mu?
Well, I think it's important to remember that it's not about completely emptying your mind or anything like that.
Right.
It's more about clearing away these preconceived notions and expectations that we all walk around with and becoming adaptable, like water.
Being in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And Soke Hatsumi often uses this analogy of, you know, a mind in this state of mu being like a still pond that can just perfectly reflect anything without distortion.
Okay. Yeah, that's starting to make a little more sense to me now.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be really important in martial arts.
Definitely.
Because you're not stuck in one rigid technique.
Absolutely.
You're open to whatever your opponent throws at you.
Right, right. And in fact,
so you're not...
the source also mentions this concept of Banpen Henka.
Right. Banpen Henka?
Yeah, the 10,000 changes.
Okay, so how does how does that fit into being zero?
Well, Banpen Henka really emphasizes this infinite possibility for variation when you're in that zero state. So you're not limited by these preset movements or techniques.
Right.
You can respond freely and spontaneously.
Okay, so that's how it all ties together.
Exactly. And think about it in terms of your training.
Okay.
Remember when you first started learning the Kifan Hapo?
Yeah.
You were probably super focused on getting the movements.
Well,
exactly right.
Every single one.
But as you progress, you start to see how those basic techniques can be adapted and applied in so many different ways.
That's true.
That's Banpen Henka in action.
Okay.
Born from the zero state.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's like mastering those basics so well that you can move beyond them.
Totally.
And become truly creative and unpredictable.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, there's this quote from Hatsumi Sensei that kind of threw me for a loop.
Okay.
He said, separate yourself from the technique.
Right.
Separate yourself from yourself. How do you even separate yourself from yourself?
It's a head scratcher for sure.
It is.
But I think it really gets at this idea of letting go of the ego. This need to control everything.
Okay.
And in the context of training, if you're too attached to one specific technique, it becomes a crutch.
Okay.
You become predictable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that can be dangerous in a fight.
Right.
But I think it goes beyond that too.
Okay.
Think about that feeling of frustration you mentioned in your notes about hitting a plateau in your training.
Oh, yeah.
That feeling of being stuck often comes from clinging too tightly to a specific outcome or a specific goal. You know, you're right, because I was so focused on reaching a specific rank that I kind of lost sight of why I was training in the first place. So how does this whole being zero well, it can help you. How does it get unstuck? Imagine approaching your training with a beginner's mind again. Right. Like that sense of openness and curiosity. I see what you're saying. You had when you first started. Okay. What if instead of aiming for a specific rank, you just focused on absorbing each lesson, each new technique with a fresh perspective? Right. That's zero. Okay. It's letting go of expectations and being present in the moment. I guess it's like saying that the journey is more important than the destination.
Exactly.
But how do I actually apply this?
To my everyday life outside the dojo.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't just walk around in a constant state of moo, can I?
It's not about being in moo all the time.
Okay.
It's about having access to that state when you need it.
Okay.
Think of those moments when you're facing a challenge.
Okay.
It could be a work project, a creative block, or even just a disagreement with someone.
Okay.
Instead of just reacting with your usual patterns and habits, try taking a moment to empty your cup and approach the situation with fresh perspective.
So instead of getting frustrated when things don't go my way, I should try to see it as an opportunity to adapt and learn.
Exactly.
It's like turning a problem into a puzzle to be solved.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of being zero. It's a continual process of self-reflection, of letting go of preconceived notions and being open to new insights. And that openness is where growth, both in martial arts and in life, really comes from.
So just to recap, we've been talking about how this idea of being zero, it's not about becoming nothing. It's about pure potential.
Pure potential.
It's about detaching ourselves from those fixed ideas.
Absolutely.
And embracing adaptability.
Yes.
Not only on the map, but in our daily lives as well.
Exactly. And you've already made great progress just by exploring this concept.
Yeah, it's been an interesting conversation.
But I want to leave you with a thought.
Okay.
If you could fully embrace this idea of being zero in one specific area of your life, what would that look like?
That's a good question.
What possibilities might emerge if you emptied your cup, approached that challenge with fresh eyes and an open mind?
That's something to think about.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive.
You're right.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me, Peg.